Okay, welcome everybody. I'm going to explain this really quickly. We want to be able to answer these questions, but for people who are in a rush, who don't necessarily have 30 to an hour,
they don't want all the nonsense.
They don't want all the nonsense. They don't want the whimsy. They just want the wisdom thrown in there.
Get to it.
So we're doing a brief version where we answer our main question and 5 minutes or less. Okay, we have a timer going. When the timer goes off,
this is a timer. You can't really tell that, but on the top
nice
it says 5
cube,
minutes. So.
And it's blinking. So we're down to 4 minutes and 28 seconds. So that's what we're going to do. We'll do this every week and see how people like it.
See how it pans out. So here's our question. So we're just jumping right into it. It's a question about forgiveness is what it is at its heart. But this person asks, they say, I've worked hard to forgive, but can still have hurt feelings over their actions. I don't necessarily want the same type of friendship I had before with them. Does that mean I haven't truly forgiven them? So they're concerned that, I think, a couple of things. They still kind of have hurt feelings and they don't necessarily want to have the same relationship that they had before. And they're concerned that those are maybe signs that they haven't forgiven this person. Yeah. And that's a good question, good legitimate concern, something good to think through. And so that's what we're going to try to quickly, I guess, throw some points at and see. And we'll say, we don't know this full situation. And so at the start of it, I guess I will say, we're not going to tell you for sure if you've forgiven or not, right? That's between you and the Lord. But we'll give you some ideas maybe to think about as we jump into it. So do you want to start? What your thoughts are with this, Dave?
So the initial thought is basically potentially you haven't forgiven them or potentially you have. It mostly depends on the condition of your own heart and where you're at. So we talked about in our longer video a few things that total forgiveness is not. It's not approval of what they did. It's not excusing what they did. It's not justifying what they did. And it's not necessarily forgetting what they did either. They could have hurt you deeply and you could still be dealing with that emotionally. But that doesn't mean that you haven't forgiven them. If you don't necessarily want any sort of punishment, if you don't even want an apology, if you just genuinely want Christ for them, then that's a sign maybe you have forgiven them. Yeah.
Real forgiveness is someone who's not looking for that person to be punished for what they did. They're not looking for retribution. And you think about it, this is the way that God has forgiven us. Now, he knows what we've done. He doesn't forget it. Some of the verses that say he remembers them no more means like he's remembering them against us no more. And so that's the ideal of forgiveness, is the way that God has done it. Not remembering those sins, so to speak, those things that they've done to you, not remembering those against the people anymore. And so a couple of things that come to mind, they're talking about the friendship. They don't necessarily want the same friendship. It may be a good idea to not have the same friendship that you had before. Boundaries are okay. Boundaries can help kind of protect your heart as well as theirs. That's okay. That's okay to not necessarily have the same friendship. I would pray for the feelings. Feelings are not, I don't think, our standard of what's right and wrong. And so even if you're not feeling necessarily all the time, or this person talks about still having hurt feelings, pray about that. God's going to be the one to help you with that. But again, I think forgiveness goes way deeper than just our surface level feelings.
Yeah. And something that I should have mentioned in our longer video, but I didn't. So you guys tuning into this one, you're getting a little bonus. Oh, and we got to do it quickly. Paul had the problem. Yeah, Paul had the problem where with one of his friends, they had to separate ways, but he did it in love. The disagreement was such that they had to part ways, but he still forgave them and loved them.
Okay, we have 30 seconds, so I'll say one or two things. Forgiveness is not dependent on that other person. You can forgive without them wanting it or needing it. Reconciliation, now that depends on two people, and they may not ever want that, and that's okay. And then the last thing I'll say, 14 seconds left.
Okay.
Remember that Satan is your real enemy. We're not fighting against flesh and blood.
Whatever they did to you to hurt you, that was caused by Satan. So remember that.
5 minutes goes fast.
It goes super fast.
There you go. All right. See y'all.
ya.
Take care. Keep the questions coming.